Afternoon, or evening, or morning. It depends on when you're watching this, right? Like I always stream live, unless you're watching something on YouTube Shorts. Glenn Stein Realty Executives here. We're in Ocala. We're located on the busy road of State Road 40, about 6, 7 blocks east of downtown. It is typically I'll record these on Fridays. So hope everybody is doing well just before President's Day. I have a lot to talk about. There's like a crazy amount on my mind right now. So hopefully I can, sometimes I got so much in my mind and it all comes out at once and then no, what are you saying? What are you talking about? So make sure I'm speaking English. All right. So a couple things. One, I noticed, I was looking at one of the old videos and I noticed that in Ocala, we're going to be talking about inventory. We're going to be talking about, are we seeing a tsunami of homes come on the market? Like many markets are entering into spring market, but I feel like we've been in spring market since like the second week of January. And the reason why I say that is that the market has really picked up. We've been really interest rate sensitive. We've seen that from last year, 2022. And, the market was fast in first quarter and crickets, in third and fourth quarter. It's kind of in between the second quarter of last year. And then first quarter, after the first week of January, the market just really picked up. Now, we are seeing an adjustment in interest rates. So I find it super interesting. Like second week of January, we went down to, we went under 7, then we went under 6 for a little bit. And now I'm looking at the latest rates, 6.25, right? 30-year and government FHA, VA. FHA is 6% and VA is 5.75. A lot of times I'll recommend a 15-year, and the 15-year is 5.6. So I like 15 years because I like seeing, the principal being reduced a lot every single month. And I know you can put more money to it. That's just like, it's like a forced savings. So if you ever wonder about that, let's talk about inventory. Inventory is super interesting right now because I feel like interest rates and inventory really dictate what's going on in the market. So for people that are really kind of curious, what's happening in the market, what's going on, this basically will tell you most of what's going on. So if we look at, this particular slide here, look at, number of homes. This is nationwide. This is the macro. Number of homes for sale is basically up from last year, but below pre-pandemic numbers. Okay. If we look at nationwide, the peak in the last, 5, 6 years, 2019 numbers, 1.1 million homes that are active, right? And this is actually coming from, this is a January number, active properties during January nationwide. You're looking at, what we saw like peak in 2019, which is probably what we saw here, over 4,000 properties for sale. And then, pandemic hits and all of a sudden people go crazy over housing. Interest rates went down, early part of 2020. They go into under 3 and it's like, what? Everybody was crazy. We got to buy something. We got to get, we can work remotely, blah, 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 whatever, right? There's taxes and politics, and there's a whole bunch of things that are going on. And I showed you that last week where it looks like, people are generally moving away from the cities, being into, they want quieter places. They want to have access to things, but they're looking at politics, taxes, and, busyness. I think those are probably the 3 things that are really important to people right now. And, that became important starting with, right after COVID in 2020. And then 2021, the market really went nuts. And then the early part of 2022, really, we saw, things really just like, hit a crescendo in spring of 2022 last year. And then, of course, things get quiet. And then now we're seeing a rise in inventory, nationwide. And we're seeing more listings nationwide compared to what we saw in 2022 and 2021, but not nearly as much as what we saw in 2019, and then also obviously, 2018, that type of thing. So when we're looking at those time periods, really there's a big difference in the number of properties that came on the market. If you're looking at total inventory, just really, big differences from, 2018 to 2019, 2020 to 2021. really seeing, a decrease in inventory during those time periods. And then, things really, really become interesting, during the time period of after COVID. And then of course, as interest rates start to creep up, actually I say creep up, but actually, it happened really, really fast. Like all of a sudden you're looking at tons, you're looking at a lot of homes coming on the market, and then you're seeing interest rates just spike up incredibly so, like just an unbelievable amount of 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 of, of inventory just sitting there, and then these on market, nationwide. It's just super interesting, the dynamic from this year for sure. But interest rates going up, obviously we're going to see an increase in inventory, and of course now we're starting to see a settling period. But now let's look at that's what happened nationwide. And for the most part, when we're talking about the spring of 2023, what we're seeing is almost everybody has improved in marketplace with the interest rates going down a little bit, like going under 7, and in certain cases went under 6 for a little bit. Now they're just above 6. Unless you're doing it, a VA mortgage or a 15-year note. But for the most part, everybody around the country has improved. What I am noticing is many parts around the country have improved, but the Northeast section, and I know some people, I've got some clients and some realtors that live in the Northeast, whether it's New York City, Philadelphia, DC, and it's a little bit of a slowing down period in certain markets, and they haven't picked up. So it's going to be really interesting. The weather hasn't been that cold, so it'll be interesting to see what they're going to see in the spring market. But what we're seeing in Marion County, let's look at Marion County, Ocala. Marion County, Ocala is, when you see this, it's going to explain pretty much everything that we've seen over the last, probably the last several years. It's going to be crystal clear to you. Like, it's going to be really, really obvious when you take a look at this, right? Because essentially what we're looking at is we're looking at, inventory picking up, more homes coming on the market, but it's not necessarily what you would think. Okay, not necessarily what you would think. So let's look at this particular screen here. This particular shot tells us what's happened in the marketplace the last 10 years. And this is Marion County, Ocala. Marion County, Ocala, we saw, how many properties coming on the market. You'd see way over 5,000. And then when you get to 2020, you're seeing the amount of properties that were coming on the market really being reduced. Just a drastic number, just like falling off a cliff in inventory. It's the inventory number. Of course, sales would be the inverse. You'd see much more of an increase. But look at that drop, like a tremendous drop in the number of properties that actually came on the market. And then of course, spring of 2022, which is where this is. If you look at this is May of 2022 at this point. You're seeing a real sharp increase, and now we're seeing the leveling off. And that tells you, okay, if you look at this time period here, look at that, December of 2022, and this little trough here is January 23. We're starting to see like a tapering off of inventory. It looks like it's going to plateau a bit. What we don't know is whether the interest rates are going to go straight up. Are we going to see another increase, sharp increase, like plateau and then increase? We're going to see it just a plateau, or we see a plateau and drop. I think it has to do with the interest rates. Let's look at the actual data. So we start looking at data and numbers. This will tell you, this is another way to look at it. So active number of listings, and this is active number of listings. Not necessarily, this isn't the inventory that's active necessarily, because I just gave you that number just a bit ago, 2,600 homes on the market, just over 2,600 homes on the market in Marion County. But that's been hovering around that amount for several months, as you saw in the graph. This is the active number of listings, the number of new listings that are coming on, right? Now you're looking at, let's see, where's the peak? Peak is back in 2018. When we saw, actually 2013 back there, but the last 5-year peak is going to be right around 4,900 is what I'm seeing as the biggest peak. This is like February of 2019 is the big peak, right? February of 2019 is the big peak. So we look at, let's go back. Let's look at the chart. February 19, 2019. So 2019, February. What are we going to be? Where is this here? It's going to be right around here. That's March. There you go. March, February, right there. Like these are, and probably also with this number here, what's this month? That's going to be May. All right. So we start looking at the data. That's spring of 2019. And that's exactly right. You start looking at April, May, 4968, 4800. You know, these were the highs in the last 5 years of inventory. Even 2018 saw less inventory on the market and less properties coming on the market in Marion County, Ocala, Florida. But then, of course, 2019 hits. And actually, what's interesting is this tells us all of a sudden we were seeing December of 2019, we were already seeing a decrease in inventory before COVID already, because we were going from 4,100 to 3,700, and then 2020 hits, and like, whoa, wait a second, we're at 3,300, 31, then all of a sudden the rest of the year is under 3,000, and then 2021 we're under 2,000, and then early 2022 under 2,000. Then May we start to see a little bit of a peak, 2,000, 2,000. Sharp increase, right? Sharp increase in inventory, literally going from 1,700, actually 1,614 in February, to all the way doubling to 3,200 number of new listings on the market in that particular month in December, 3,200, right? So there's a doubling there, primarily because of the interest rate jump. But now we've seen a plateau, okay? So yes, we're seeing more properties hit the marketplace. Let me summarize what this means. More properties coming on the market, but we've plateaued as far as number of the increase in the number of new listings. So it's flattened out. Interest rates have also flattened out. It's no longer doing this. In fact, they've gone up, then come down, and it seems to be hovering around the sixes. Inventory staying level, sales staying level. So we have a very normal, balanced marketplace. I heard this. I was in a board meeting yesterday, and I was hearing this where people were concerned about price drops. And we have seen a little bit of a price drop, an adjustment. I would say, it'd be fair to say, 3, 5, 7%, depending on what area of Marion County you're in. So there has been an adjustment, but there's not this, cliff that we fell over, right? Like for price. So that's the good news. We also, just a side note, if you have questions, you can call me 352-572-3796. I'm the broker here. I've been here in business since 2004, in this building since late 2004, early 2005, I think is when they redid it. You can come see us, 2-story yellow building on Silver Springs Boulevard, Realty Executives. We also do property management and rentals. So for the people that are, well, I don't know that I want to sell my place yet, I want to rent it out, or if you need a rental, just let us know. Our number here is 352-624-2333. And if you would, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Happy President's Day, and we'll see everybody real soon. Take care.